So hey friends, welcome to this week's video. This week we're going to go over something that reminded me of college a little bit. I went to Boston University, and junior year for the business school, one of the major projects was the core product or project, which essentially you had to come up with a product. They didn't allow services back then, so it had to be a physical product that you could market, sell, pitch to a VC and come up with a business plan. So one of the big things that held us down, or at least made it really hard for us to come up with a product initially, is that you couldn't really have a convenience combo, and that basically was saying taking two functioning products and slam them together to make a combination Frankenstein project. And I think that was just forcing us to be creative, which was lame because we had to go through a lot of iterations of terrible ideas. Ours ended up being all right, but yeah, it just forced you into a bucket of, I need to sell something absolutely unique. Of course, BU got the patents for anything we did, but whatever. We couldn't do convenience combos. Well, Duolink obviously didn't take core because this is 3 products in one, and we're not sure how this is going to perform, but it'll be interesting to see if they compete as a holistic product or even if they can compete on their individual separate products. And this is coming around sub $100, so we'll see. This little speaker piqued my interest because a ton of YouTubers were promoting this during the 2019 holiday season, and they were promoting that Kickstarter. And then a year later, through 2020, people started receiving units. Well, the rest of us started receiving our units. So that's the reason why I really wanted to dive into this product and see if it actually meets that expectation that was set, and if there's been any developments over this long cycle of build. Over the past year, I have noticed that they've been aggressively trying to get testers, so there's a lot of email campaigns around getting free devices, entering raffles, and getting their latest product. So it is interesting to see that there is so much need for testers, especially after that big YouTube push in the end of 2019. So another reason why I wanted to check it out for myself. Coming back to the device, it is a small palm-sized speaker that is powered by USB-C. You're going to be able to get about 6 hours in speaker mode, and the charge time on that is about an hour and a half to get to full. There's not much going on the outside, but you will notice that there is blinking lights for indicators, and you'll notice those things blinking. Trust me, you will. Outside of the actual indicators, you will notice that there are 2 buttons, and those are really just for power. I was initially thinking they were volume controls, but they are just for power, and the reason why there's 2 is because eventually this speaker can split, and we'll get into that later in the review. The Duolink has a 4-speaker setup that is covered with a durable cloth material. The speaker is rubberized and is able to resist light splashing in the rain. So the biggest drawback of the speaker as a whole here is it's just low in volume. You really can't push this very far, and there's a ton of other speakers that are this size, this price range, that do that. So an example here is like my small Musin button. Here's an example. So yeah, it just doesn't push that much volume, and then sound quality wise, despite it being lower, it's still not the clearest speaker in the world. I could get a JBL Flip 4, Flip 5 for about the same price and get a ton more clarity. This is pretty muddy in the mids, and I think they try to bass boost it, but the volume just doesn't really bring forward anything that's really defined to me. So while it is quieter and can sound more defined at its upper range, it's just straight bleh. There's a lot of mud, a lot of unclarity that holds this speaker back. And I did see something that's saying that I had to be at 100% or like a high battery, and I had to make sure that it was charged, because that, a lower battery can't drive as much, all that sort of stuff. So I found an article there that I'll post here. But I was at 90% when I was recording this, so unless I can't have 10% of battery killed, this is really not holding up at all. So the big party trick with the Duolink is that you can split the speaker. While it is held together with a very strong magnet, it does come with a shoestring to connect that together, just for added security. I thought that it was a little bit cheap, but it gets the job done. But overall, the splitting feature is what would be the big differentiator in the market. So whether you want to give some speakers to different groups to get your social distancing on, or you want to get a little bit more separation, these speakers might be good for that portable sense. The biggest one I could see is if you're using a laptop and you want external speakers, this might be a way to do that and get the left and right terminals. Obviously, there's no smart technology that'll, really isolate your left and right. It's just literally playing the music in both speakers. So separation won't be great, but you'll still be able to get somewhat of a sense of surround sound by splitting them. Also, since you're rocking Bluetooth 5.0, you will have some reliability in the connectivity, as well as a decent distance that you can get from your phone to the speaker. So splitting the speaker in half actually helps a lot. So while it is still the same speakers and nothing fancy happens to inside of the programming or anything or the design of it, being able to have the placement like next to your left and right ear does improve the sound. Again, volume doesn't really help here at all. It doesn't get better, but it does help with separation, and it just sounds a little bit better when you split the speaker in half. However, it doesn't really get you what you need regardless, but I'll put a sample here just so you can hear how it sounds from a left and right using my binaural microphone. Full speaker, split speaker, yet there's still one more trick up Duolink's sleeve, and that is the earbuds that are included with the speaker. So these earbuds are a better quality than the speaker themselves, and they don't suffer from the same volume issues that the speakers do. As well as the speakers and the unit itself has a codec for AAC, meaning that you can get higher quality bitrate and music from this if those files are supported on your streaming service, which most are. The earbuds use silicone tips, which are kind of a custom shape, so I would be interested to see if third parties work with this, but they also come with wings, which help place in your ears. They also come with a large set of wings and tips to sort of mix and match and make sure that you have a secure fit, but overall these were pretty comfortable. In fact, that is a point that I really want to emphasize here, is that these earbuds are surprisingly comfortable. I used them on runs, I had no issues with them slipping out. They may not be the most water resistant things, but I never had issues with sweat causing my earbuds to come out. I have even used these on naps and I didn't really notice them they're lightweight enough where you can kind of forget that they're there, and the snugness and the wings do help with that security. So there's really nothing I can complain about the fit. It's pretty well done by the Duolink team. That fit was also probably the reason why it had pretty decent isolation. I know that it does say that it has noise cancelling or AI noise cancelling. I didn't really see anything special there, but the isolation did help block out a lot of noise. The earbuds do have smart features such as in-ear detection, as well as touch controls, which are a combination of taps, holds, and sliders. The left tip controls play pause with a tap, assistant with a hold, and the volume using the left stem as a slider. The right tip also has play pause with a tap, assistant for a hold, but the right stem is your track control, with a down swipe for next track and an up swipe for previous track. The stem sliders were a little bit finicky, I'm not going to lie there. You have to be very slow and deliberate in your gestures, otherwise you might accidentally just pause your music. I also noticed that moving my head around a lot would randomly stop the music. This was not ideal when I was jump roping or running. But hell, even when I was just vibing to music and bobbing my head, it would just stop randomly. It seems to be registering ghost taps, and this is not an uncommon thing for the industry, but it's still extremely annoying for the users. Lastly, you really want to make sure that those earbuds click in, like audibly hear the click. and to ensure that they're snug before you're trying to switch into speaker mode. I had many issues with that just not being perfectly in, and it wouldn't recognize it as being in speaker mode, so it just stayed on the earbuds. So the earbuds themselves actually don't sound terrible. They don't sound really, really great at all. I actually got a little bit deceived in the sense that I thought that these sounded really, really good just coming out. Like, just me having not listened to earbuds in a little bit, I was like, oh, these don't sound that bad. They actually sound pretty good. They definitely sounded better than the Tick Pods that I reviewed earlier in 2020, and they weren't terrible. I think the reason why I thought they were alright is because they're bass boosted. So that bass boost does help kind of like smooth things over, make them sound a little bit more pleasant, and kind of holds back some of the, or covers up some of the imperfections in the sound signature. But then when I tested next to the actual Jabra 75T actives, I could notice that's when I noticed there was mud and there was a lack of separation in the different instruments. So it was just a lot more clear and crisp on the Jabra 75Ts. Obviously, those are more expensive headphones. However, they just didn't really sound that good when compared to them. However, I will say that they don't sound as good as like even something like that is as accessible as, let's say, like the Raycons. I know you guys probably seen those advertised heavily on YouTube, but those actually sound better than these. When thinking back on it, it's just a little bit more defined. However, if you're not really heavy on the audiophile sense, you might still appreciate these. The bass boosted signature is actually not too bad. And, you know, if you're just coming off fresh, this might sound all right. However, if you are used to using earbuds, you're going to notice a difference when you compare them side by side and just over a longer listening session. But I have recorded the difference between the Jabras and the Duolink earbuds, just so you guys get a perception of what I'm hearing. So yeah, at $100, again, there's a lot of products in here, but I just don't think that it's a worthwhile on any of the sets of features that it provides. It is an interesting concept, as I mentioned before, and I think that if they improve the quality, that this could be something that people could use. However, in its current state, it's just an overpriced piece of technology for me. I think that the earbuds definitely sound a lot better than the speakers, but again, even at those points, $100 earbuds, because that's how you have to look at it, there's still a bunch of other options out there that you can get. So unfortunately, there's just not a good comparison to what's out there in the market, but I appreciate them trying to do something different. But yeah, so unfortunately I can't recommend them, but if you'd like to check them out, I'll put a link in there for anyone who's curious. If your curiosity is seriously piqued with this product, then I'd suggest you go on their website. They do have an insider testing program where you can apply for it. They'll send you a device and you have to do a review, but if it's something that you want to test without actually investing money before you know what you're getting, the insider testing program might be for you. Otherwise, thank you guys for sticking around, and yeah, if you're new here, definitely consider liking, commenting, subscribing, doing all things that you normally do on a video that you like and love. And if you guys are returning, appreciate you guys keeping contact with me, sending me messages, and subscribing. You're definitely helping me get to my goals that we're looking for at the end of March. And yeah, we're seeing this channel grow pretty well. Speaking of, I did have a commenter and a subscriber start a new channel. So his name is Caleb. His channel is KanthrHD, and we've been talking back and forth. I think he had a little bit of fear on starting because obviously, like, you know, people make quality videos and there's a lot to think about and there's a lot of competition. But I think that he's finally pulled the trigger and getting his channel off the ground. So as well as subscribing to me, if you could look at his channel, I'll put all the links in the description as well as in the end card of this. Definitely check his channel out. He's starting brand new, so he only has his first video out, but he will be posting videos shortly. So yeah, it would be cool to see him grow as well. But anyways, as always, thank you so much and appreciate you. See you soon.